friends. I couldn't wait any longer. I just had to jump right back into our story because we left at such a dramatic point. If you've been following along, you know that Mr. Terupt is now in a coma, and we had Luke, who was just at the hospital, to visit him. So let's go ahead and just jump right back in, my friends. We're going to start in chapter 59 with Jeffrey. Terupt's in a coma. I know what that's all about. I remember from when I was little. Comas are terrifying. I'm never going back to a hospital. Those places are full of bad memories and bad luck. I'd like to see Terupt, but I can't visit him. I can't do it. Luke told me it was scary. I know. People in comas die. It should have been me in that coma, not Michael. It should be me in that coma, not Terupt. Peter's snowball should have hit me. Now our teacher's gonna die. This sucks. School sucks. Everything sucks. It was better when I didn't care. Anna. I heard Luke telling Jeffrey that when he went to go see Mr. Terupt in the hospital, that it was awful, that Mr. Terupt wasn't awake or moving. But I couldn't help feeling the way I did. I wanted to go and see him, too. I just didn't think I could do it alone. So I asked Jessica and Danielle to go with me. We sat at lunch. We were quiet. No one talked much, not since the accident. Anna, what's wrong? Jessica asked. She's always good at knowing when something's not right. Nothing, I said. I pulled my PB&J apart. Just tell us, Danielle said. I didn't say anything. I focused on my sandwich, picking at it, but not eating. Come on, Danielle, she urged. I blurted it out. I want to go and see him. Silence. I brushed my sandwich pieces into a pile. I noticed Danielle and Jessica weren't eating either. The three of us busied ourselves in staring at our food. Me too, Jessica finally said. Really? Danielle said. Aren't you guys scared to go? Yes, I said. I scooched forward. So let's go together. Will you guys go with me? I will, Jessica said, pushing her food aside. You think your parents will let you? Danielle asked. She was asking both of us, but I answered. I already asked my mom. She said she'd take us. I'll try, Danielle said. I want to go. We're stronger when we stick together, remember? Jessica said, just like Mr. Terupt told us. Her voice got quiet as she mentioned his name. We all got quiet. We didn't talk about him anymore. It hurt too much. Danielle. I knew Mom and Grandpa were going to have a fit about me going to the hospital with Anna, especially with her mother, but I didn't care. Not this time. I found the courage to ask them because it was important to me. We were sitting in the kitchen preparing dinner. I peeled the potatoes. Grandma peeled the apples for her delicious pies. Mom managed everything else. When do you think the snow's going to be gone? Grandma asked. Farmers love to talk about the weather. A nice hot apple pie did sound wonderful in the cold, snowy weather. I inhaled deeply, and then I took the plunge. I want to go and see my teacher, I said. Anna's mother is driving her and Jessica. I'd like to go with them, please. You're not going anywhere with that girl and her mother. We've already told you that, Grandma snapped. Mother, Mom said, I'll handle this. Keep an eye on dinner. Danielle, come with me. I don't like it, Grandma said. Apple peels missed the pile and flew onto the floor. I'm so grateful my mom pulled me away. I love Grandma, but she's like a piece of iron, unbendable. And forget about the teacher thing. In her mind, a teacher's still the person that raps you on the knuckles with a ruler or across the back with a paddle. She doesn't get Mr. Terupt at all. According to Grandma, this whole incident was his own fault. Seems to me that the teacher of yours has only himself to blame, Grandma said one night while doing the dishes. If he had more control over them boys, especially that Peter, this wouldn't have happened. I stopped drying the plate in my hands. He needed a licking months ago, and a good teacher would have given him one. My plate smashed onto the kitchen floor. I didn't mean to drop it. Mom, on the other hand, she gets it. I've told her about Mr. Terupt many times, and she understands how special he is. We sat on my bed side by side, not looking at each other, but at the wall across from us. I hung my sketch of Mr. Terupt there. You really think you want to see him? Mom asked. Yes. It's not going to be easy. He's going to have machines and tubes hooked up to him. He's not going to look at you or say anything. I know. Luke was talking about it in school about his visit. He said it was scary. And I don't like you being around Anna or her mother, but I also think it's probably better that you go with your friends than alone. Charlie could drop me off and pick me up. The bed bounced as I twisted to face my mom. It sounded like she was about to agree. Please. Anna. It was time for us to go to the hospital. Jessica and her mother were already at my house. Our mom sat in the kitchen drinking coffee like they do often now. Jessica and I sat around with some books, but even she found it difficult to focus enough to read. Danielle's here, I announced as soon as I saw the pickup truck pull into our snowy driveway. Mom came to the porch door to greet her with me. Oh my goodness, I heard Mom say to herself. She didn't even realize I was staring right at her. Same old red farm truck. Did she know that truck? I didn't get it. Hi, Danielle, I said as Danielle came up the steps. This is my mom, Terry. Hi, Danielle, Mom said. Come on in out of that cold. Danielle stopped at the snow on her boots on our welcome mat. I took her coat and hung it on our rack. It's nice to finally meet you. Anna's told me so much about you, Mom said, and they shook hands. It's nice to meet you too, ma'am, Danielle said. Thanks for letting me come with you. I'm glad you could join us, Mom said, and you can call me Terry. I led Danielle farther into her house. When I looked back, Mom stood gazing out the door. After a few long seconds, she turned away. She smiled at me and said, Why don't you give Danielle a quick tour of the house and hang out for a few minutes? Then we'll go. What were you looking at? I asked. Nothing really. That's my brother Charlie who dropped me off, Danielle said. I didn't know you had a brother, I said. Yeah, he's 27, a lot older than me. He works on the farm with my dad and Grandpa. I looked at Mom. She's 27 too. He drives that red Ford everywhere, Danielle said. Always has, Mom says. Does it still have a dent in the driver's side door? Yes, ma'am, Danielle said. My jaw dropped. What's going on? How did Mom know that? And why isn't she as shocked as me about her knowing? I looked at Mom, but before I could get anything out of my mouth, I didn't know what to say anyways. She said, A quick tour, Anna. Danielle. You're young, just like my brother, I wanted to say to Anna's mom, but I didn't want to be disrespectful. So I didn't say anything as she stood staring at the door at Charlie. I could tell Anna was playing matchmaker again, but I didn't say anything about that either. My family would never want to see Charlie and Terry together. Never. I also met Jessica's mom. She was very nice. You can call me Julie or Miss Reitman, whichever you're more comfortable saying, she said. Anna's house was simple, but nice. I guess you didn't need a big old house when it was only you and your mom. That's the thing I liked best about Anna's place was that the artwork was hanging on some of the walls. I took a closer look at one of the sketches and read the name. Terry Adams at the bottom. Anna's mother was an artist? I looked down at the sketch I held in my hand, the one that came from my bedroom wall. I had brought it to leave in Mr. Terupt's room. Mrs. Adams must have noticed me looking at her work and at my work. Is this one of your sketches? She asked. Anna has told me that you're a beautiful artist. I held the drawing out for her to see, but I didn't say anything. Well, I'd say Anna was right. This is a lovely piece, Danielle. Thank you, ma'am, I said. You've done some wonderful things with shadowing and texture. She pointed to different areas of my sketch. I'm not really sure what that means, ma'am, but thank you. Next time you come over, I'd be happy to do some sketching with you, she said, and I'll give you a few pointers if you'd like. Next time I come over, she had said. Anna and Jessica and her mom joined us. Told you she was an amazing sketch artist, Anna said to her mom. Miss Adams smiled at us. Come on, Danielle. I'll show you some of Mom's other drawings and my bedroom. I followed Anna, but not before I returned Mrs. Adams' smile. I wondered what she could possibly be and how she could possibly be a bad influence in Anna's house. I liked it here, and I liked the two people who lived here. I also knew Grandma wouldn't be as easily convinced. After hanging out in Anna's bedroom, it was time to go. On the car ride, the three of us sat in the back seat. Jessica held her book, Anna held her plant, and I held my special sketch. We were all quiet. I stared at the window of the passing snowbanks and tried to keep from thinking about the snowball day, but that was impossible. For the rest of my life, I knew that snow would trigger my memory of the accident. Jessica. Act 9, Scene 2. Characters. Me, Julie, my mother, Danielle, my friend, Anna, my friend, Terry, Anna's mother. Action. The elevator doors opened. We stepped into the white hall. I thought of my first day of school and my heart thumped in my chest. The smell of disinfectant had lingered in the hallway. The smell of rubbing alcohol and iodine dominated the hospital hallways. Instead of the chatter of school kids arriving after a summer vacation, the only thing I could hear was the incessant beeping of those scary machines. This was way worse than the first day of school. I swallowed. I gripped and squeezed and fidgeted with my book in my hands. Al Capone does my shirts. On the first day, Mr. Terupt had told me that he liked happy endings, so I brought him this book. I knew that he wouldn't be able to see or read, but I wanted him to have it. Plus, having something in my hands helps me when I'm nervous. I'm glad his door wasn't too far away. Otherwise, I might not have made it. But I did. And so did Danielle and Anna. We were there for each other. We stopped just outside his door. The black marker spelled out Terupt. I rubbed my finger on it. It didn't smear. I looked at Danielle and Anna. There was no hiding our fear. My mother and Terry stood behind us for support, but they let us go in on our own. I looked back at them. "We're right here," Mom said. "We'll come in with you," Terry added. I took a deep breath and readied myself for what I would see. Anna. "How are you doing?" Mom asked. I shook my head. The hallway was so sad and frightening and long. Beeping and coughing and moaning noises came from everywhere. Mom placed her hand on my shoulder. "I'm here," she said. "How do you know about the dent in Charlie's truck?" I whispered. I couldn't stop thinking about it. "I'll tell you later." "Do you know him?" "Yes, I know Charlie," Mom said, but I had no idea he had a little sister. We stopped. Mr. Terupt's door was cracked open, but not enough for me to see inside. Suddenly, my worries and questions about Mom and Charlie vanished. They were quickly replaced by all my worries for Mr. Terupt. Was I ready for this? Danielle, Jessica, and I looked at each other, and we did our best to prepare for what was coming next. Danielle. There was no turning back. "Dear God, it's Danielle. Please be with me. I'm going to need your help." I guess I could have waited in the car or in the lounge, but being with brave friends kept me moving forward. Beep, beep, cough, cough, hack, 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 moan, moan, groan. The chorus of hospital noises made me cringe. I felt my shoulders pushing into my ears. We walked past an old lady sitting in the hallway. She was shaking and drooling in her wheelchair. I could hear Grandma saying, "You better put me in the ground before you send me off to one of them places with these drooling geezers." For a second, I laughed inside thinking of that, but just for a second. We stopped. The sign on the door said Terupt. The door was partially open, but I couldn't see inside. That's probably a good thing because I may have run back into the car had I seen what Mr. Terupt looked like. The three of us nodded at each other silently. We were ready. Or so we thought. This is when I need you the most. Jessica. Act 9, Scene 3. Action. Mr. Terupt's door stood slightly ajar, so I slowly pushed it open and stepped into his room. He wasn't alone, but he didn't have a roommate. He had a visitor. Lexi. I stopped. Danielle and Anna saw her too. We all stopped. Lexi was by Mr. Terupt's bed, her back to us. She didn't know that we were there. I could hear her talking to him. I've been trying to be nice, Teach. I've been quiet. I don't know. I don't know what else to do. I haven't even been mean. You'd be happy about that, Teach. I've been doing it, your way. But, I still need your help. I need you to come back. Everyone needs you to come back. I stood right beside Lexi now, but she remained unaware. She buried her face in Mr. Terupt's bed and sobbed. I looked at my teacher. He rested peacefully in his white bed sheets amid tubes going in and out of his body and screens with green numbers and lines on them beeping and noises. I felt him telling me what to do. I reached out and placed my hand on Lexi's back. She lifted her head and looked at me through her tears. I started crying then too. Lexi stood up and we hugged. A big hug. "I'm so sorry," she said. I felt her squeeze me tight. "Me too," I said. I've never been to California, she blubbered. My mom threw my dad out of the house last year, and he never got sick. Lexi sobbed into my shoulder. I squeezed her tight now. Through choked tears, I said, my dad's not around either. He's still in California with his girlfriend. We held the hug, not with lazy arms, but strong arms. We squeezed all of our sorries out in that hug. When we let go, Lexi hugged Danielle and Anna just the same. Tears filled all of our eyes, even my mom's and Terry's. We sat in chairs next to Mr. Terupt's bed. We sat on both sides and said nothing. I paced my book on the stand next to his bed. Anna placed her plant by the window, and Danielle tacked her sketch to the wall. We thought our own thoughts and stared at our teacher, who lay motionless with his eyes closed. Yet somehow, I felt better. The power of Mr. Terupt, even in his coma, made something huge transpire. I felt light, like I could float. The past had been buried, and we were ready to move forward. When it came time to leave, I touched Mr. Terupt's hand and whispered, "Thank you." Then I walked out with my 3 friends. Lexi. There was no way I could stay away forever, especially after hearing Luke say that he'd been to the hospital. I didn't have a dad to take me, and my mom was waiting tables from noon to closing time every day for a week now. They made it easy for me because there wasn't anyone at home going, where do you think you're going? Or you aren't going anywhere. But I was still scared. I made my mind up, and I rode my bike there one day after school. I knew what room he was in because I heard Luke say it. So when I got there, I went straight to the elevator and up to his floor. "Can I help you, honey?" one of the nurses asked as I hurried down the hall. I didn't look at her. I just shook my head and kept going until I found the room. Then, I walked in. My hands flew to my mouth. I knew my teach couldn't move, but I hadn't expected him to be hooked up to so many tubes. I stood frozen for a long time. Slowly, I found the courage to tiptoe closer to his bed. "Hi, Teach," I said. It's Lexi." Already, I fought back tears. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have been mean to you. I wanted to hate you for saying those things to me, but you were right, Teach. You were right." I knelt next to his bed and put his blanket to my fists. Then the big tears came, raindrop tears. They poured from me. I couldn't help it. I cried like I used to when Mom and Dad would fight. I sobbed for a few minutes before I wiped my face on his covers. Teach just looked like he was sleeping. Was he really gonna die? "I'm doing better now, Teach. I'm not being mean. You'd be happy." I squeezed his blanket in my fist and clenched my jaw to fight back more raindrop tears. "Teach, there's something else I need to tell you. I'm not sure, but I think I saw Peter leaving here. He's the one who threw that snowball, Teach. I know he didn't mean to, and he didn't want this to happen. He loves you. All of us do." I dabbed my eyes with his blanket. I cried more now, but I kept talking to him. Peter hasn't said anything at all in school. He hasn't talked to anyone, not a word. But no one's trying to talk to him either. He did throw that snowball, even if he didn't mean for it to hit you. So it's still his fault. I felt bad for Peter. Everything was such a mess, and I had so many mixed up feelings. I had my face in his blankets when I felt someone tap my shoulder. I looked up and Jessica was there, and so was Danielle and Anna. I hugged them. I told them I was sorry, and then it was over. All of a sudden, I had 3 friends. Teach helped me. Even in his coma, Teach helped me. I missed him so much. He had to wake up. I've never felt so happy and so sad at the same time before. And that's where we're going to end for right now, my friends. We have Lexi, Danielle, Jessica, and Anna. 4 friends who've come out of this situation. We're going to continue reading on later this afternoon as we think about what's going to happen to Mr. Terupt and his students next. I hope you have a lovely day. I hope you do something fun, build something cool, hang out with your family, go for a nice walk, and I'll check in with you guys later on this afternoon. See you guys later. Bye.